Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenges. Today we have Willow once again. But this is the series, not the movie. Yeah, and as I explained yesterday, it was the first time seeing Willow for me. I know it's a sin. Being my nerdy self, I should have seen everything George Lucas ever made, and that includes Willow. And for some reason, maybe I don't know, girls. I'm not sure. I just didn't go see the movie. And somehow I just never sat down in front of a VCR and watched it with my friends growing up. It's just, I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. But here we are. Here we are. It's 24 years later. Yeah, 1988 was the original film. This is, of course, 2022, and it was just premiered a few hours ago. I started a little bit late. It's pretty late right now, and they've premiered two episodes for us. The first one's about 54 minutes long. 54 minutes long, and the next one's 46 minutes long. So yeah, I yeah, that's almost as long as the movie. But I have to tell you, without spoilers, I'm not going to give away any character or story spoilers as best as I can. So if you're really worried about it, I would avoid this until you've actually seen it, of course. But if you need somebody to confer with afterwards to say, hey, did that guy agree with what I thought about the thing? Well, okay, here you go. That's what I'm here for. Or disagree, whatever. I don't know. I don't know what you think. But yeah, we're going to go forward here, trying not to be spoilerish, but I'm going to lay out the groundwork of what you can expect and what I thought of it as we go. Hopefully it won't be too short, won't be too long either. But here we are. We get Willow is back. Warwick Davis. Okay, sorry, it's late. My brain just stopped working. Warwick Davis is back as Willow. He is. It's many. Of course, it's many years later. It's 24 years later. It's everybody's gotten a bit older, and of course, we have a pretty big cast of young people in this. It is not just Warwick and Joanne. Why can't I say her name? She's back, by the way. Yeah, Joanne Wally. I want to say Worley. That's somebody completely different. That shows my age. Joanne Wally is in this, but there's no Val Kilmer so far. That's the only spoiler, really, I can tell you. But there's a lot of talk about him, a lot of references to him. Of course, Val Kilmer, you know him from, of course, Willow and Top Gun and Real Genius and so many. He was Batman for a while. He's every. He's been all over, and he's quite a controversial figure over the years. But he's also been dealing with the loss of his voice. So that pretty much, if you saw the latest Top Gun sequel with Tom Cruise, you get an idea of what he's sort of struggling with. They had to put him in the movie, and there's still a good chance that he might show up in this. I don't know. If anybody has the technology to do it in a way that is satisfying, ILM is going to do it. So yeah, this is this is a lot of familiar faces, a lot of brand new faces, but familiar from other places. You might recognize a certain very curly redhead, Erin Kellyman. She plays Jade. That's very exactly the opposite of the color of her hair, but she plays Jade, and she's kind of a kick butt kind of warrior kind of girl. She's not a. She wants to be a soldier in their army, and that's not something they normally do. So, but yeah, she's really good friends with the princess, the daughter of Joanne, who again her character's name is. Yeah, I don't understand. I only saw the first one yesterday, so Sorcia's daughter is Kit, and she's played by Ruby Cruz. I think you're gonna like you'll like Ruby Cruz right off the bat because she's one of the few American accents in this, and she's also just she's smart ass. She's funny. She's got a little rebellious attitude, but yeah, she's best friends with Jade and Kit. So then we also get, of course, Kit also has a brother, Prince, and he's a womanizer. He likes to just hook up with just about anybody who crosses his path, and he's a very handsome young man, so it's really easy for him. So he is usually in the arms of a pretty girl when they find him. And when we see him, that's where he is. And there's also another girl named, well, the girl he's holding in his arms goes by the name of Dove. So her name is Ellie Bamber. Now, that's not her real name because he can't remember her name, so he just calls her Dove. So then there is a number of different things. Basically, the only thing you got to understand that I'm going to give you the barest of spoilers here. What drives everybody together is that somebody is taken from the castle where they thought that was impossible because there's a big barrier around the kingdom. And once they're taken, a number of people take up arms and head off on a quest to save that person. And of course, they have to find Willow along the way, and that's what brings them together. That is the barest bones of the plot that I could tell you without ruining anything. You had to figure that they're all going to get together. If you saw any like trailers or previews of anything, you got to figure these are the people who are getting together, going on a quest to fight evil. That's what it is, and that's pretty much exactly what it is. I actually really like this a whole lot more than the original movie. Back in 1988, I realized that Warwick, he was still pretty much a kid. He wasn't really an accomplished actor at that point. He'll probably admit the same thing. He was an Ewok prior to that. He was in a fuzzy suit most of the time and just had to react to what Princess Leia was doing around him. He was an adorable kid. But he's a little bit grown up now, and I've seen a lot of his stuff, and I really like him. Especially I see him at Star Wars Celebration all the time. And what's great about this, they really let his character as a person really comes through. Sense of humor, his delivery, I like him so much more in this, where he was a little bit more, he had to do what the director and the script told him. And the director and script are still telling him what to do, but I think his character has just grown. Not just he's grown obviously as well in his acting ability and his comedic timing and ability to spit out all sorts of gobbledygook kind of dialogue that you get with fantasy films and fantasy series. I think also the kind of cool thing is that we get a series which is not 2 hours long, and it allows us to let these characters breathe and let them grow. We get to we don't have to have everything summed up for us in the first 15 minutes and then have them go through a quick transformation arc and then resolve. That's in 2 hours. We don't have to do that. It can happen over a period of many episodes in a season, and then hopefully many more seasons. So this is the kind of thing that, I imagine we might get maybe the main battle, whatever else, out of the way in the first season. There might be another adventure to go on. I don't know how they're going to do this, or maybe they just have one planned, or two, or whatever it is. Like Andor is only planned for 2 seasons. Maybe this is only planned for 2 or 3 seasons, or just 1. I have no idea at this point. And I think it all comes down to how people react to it. And I think even if you haven't seen the original Willow, I think the characters are appealing enough. The setting is, it's not so. Yes, the first thing you're gonna think of more than Star Wars is Lord of the Rings. It's got more of a Lord of the Rings feel to it without a Cimmerian, I can't pronounce it right, of data that goes in behind the story of every single character and region and ring and everything else. There is a much bigger story. We will get to see a much bigger world. And that's kind of the appeal to this, to me anyway. So I think it's gonna. I really like it so far, and I think it has a chance to get a lot better. Like I was saying with characters, I want to make sure I touch on a few more of these. You'll recognize Tony Revolori. He plays Graydon. Tony Revolori, you might recognize him from the Spider-Man films, the last ones. He played Flash Thompson, kind of the bully who, like in the last one, he claimed to be Spider-Man's best friend. That guy. So he's, of course, he's not the same character at all. Has a bit of humor, but he is a little bit more serious of a character. And each of these characters, just like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of quest, or a game, everybody kind of fills a certain role. And also, just like in any adventure movie or adventure book that you would read, everybody has somebody is the smart one, somebody is the fighter, somebody is the 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 one that's good with cooking. One of them's a good cook. So everybody has a different role, and there's another man that gets pulled into this adventure who really doesn't want to, but his name is Amar Chadha-Patel. He plays Thraxus Borman, and he is probably the one. Well, he is one of the grown adults that goes on this quest, and he's going to be a favorite for a lot of people. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of cosplay that's going to be built out of this show because the costumes are great, the music is great. I can't think of who. I can't remember who the composer is, but it's kind of cool that they have kind of a female vocal pop song at the end. I don't want to call it pop song necessarily. I don't know. Although I think it's Saint Jude is the artist. She might be providing the end title music for every episode. It sounded like the same singer for both episodes. I could be completely wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't know. In the comments. But she checked the second one because she did a cover of Hurdy Gurdy Man. So that's the Who, right? Yeah, I'm probably wrong, but I think it's the Who. Anyway, there's a kind of a, it doesn't fit with the whole old school fantasy dragons and wizards kind of thing. Not that there's any dragons that so far. There are. Well, Willow's a wizard. Willow's a sorcerer or magician, whatever you want to call him. But he's there, and the fate of the entire world is at risk if they do not complete their quest and do not keep a certain person safe. You might recognize the name of that certain person. But who is that person? Well, that's part of the mystery. And they kind of tease you with that early on in the episode. So, yeah, I highly recommend this. I did not expect that especially after I wasn't as enthusiastic as I hoped to be with yesterday's episode. By the way, I didn't get to say, yesterday's episode had a surprising amount of really creepy gore. Like practical effect kind of gross. Like when he turned one of those, like, was it a monkey or something like that? Turn it inside out. Ugh, that was just freaky. Anyway, it's not as gory. I think this is a much more approachable this is much more accessible, I should say, for younger viewers. And there is a surprising romance in this one, which will likely dominate a number of stories going forward, especially when, it's going to dominate a number of stories you're going to hear over the next few weeks. Hopefully it's not as big of a deal as I'm thinking it's going to be, but... and I could make a comparison to another Star Wars project, because I kind of like the way they are handling Willow. This is many years later, and this has a very familiar echo to a certain Skywalker. Yeah, that a lot of people had a problem with, but he is still he's the top wizard in his little town, but things aren't as easy for him as we'd expect it to be. He's not on top of the world. He's not the greatest wizard in the world, let's just say. So, yeah, and there's a few flashbacks. They do pretty well with special effects, although the facial hair on him is kind of obviously fake. And they do some flash forwards too, like he sees some things in the future. So you don't know where this story is headed, and I like the fact that they keep you guessing a little bit, even though some things are kind of telegraphed early on. Once you realize a certain thing about certain characters, you're like, oh yeah, They tease that in the dialogue and a number of other ways. All right. It's yeah. It's gonna. I think it's gonna. This will definitely stick out. I hope in a lot of people's minds when they watch this, and hopefully it will get as many episodes and seasons as necessary for this great cast to really tell the story the way they want to. It's produced. It's by Jonathan Kasdan, developed by Jonathan Kasdan, Ron Howard, and is credited as a co-producer. And all the people who were involved with the original have a little bit of a hand in this, so it's not like a wholly new thing. There are different directors on different episodes, but it's still, I think it's definitely a kind of situation where everybody's kind of very beholden to the source material. So if you're afraid this is going to be like, oh, we're just going to take the old stuff and make it our own thing, no, it's very much still a Lucasfilm project with the people who were involved in the beginning. Although I don't think George stepped in and I don't think he came by and said, you got to do this, you got to make him do that. No, he probably, maybe he showed up. I have no idea. I'm sure there'll be some sort of behind the scenes thing at some point. I have no idea, but maybe he'll show up. Oh man, there's a number of, okay, at least there's a few names, by the way, I'm seeing this in the credits here, that do not have character names, which, that's interesting. Yeah. But I think we're going to be, you'll be pleasantly surprised by the way this looks, sounds, feels. It's a good time. And only 2 episodes so far. I don't know how long it's going to go, but I am here for every single one of it. Now that Andor, I'd normally be watching Andor, like I have been for the last 10 weeks or so, every Tuesday night to Wednesday morning. Now I could do it with Willow until whenever. All right, let's pick tomorrow's episode. Back to the random selections.
169.
169. We haven't done a random selection in a while because of the whole zombies thing, and then Willow 2 days in a row. 169. Okay. Well, this might be pretty easy to do, but it's a documentary, and I don't think it has to do with sharks, but it is underwater, sort of. Well, it is. Yeah, it's the Great Barrier Reef. More than likely another National Geographic either series or probably a special, like a 45-minute special. We'll see how that goes. The Great Barrier Reef on the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow.